Welcome back to the RJ and Choppy Show. RJ brought to you by, my question is, when do they ever actually win these negotiations? It's just players hold out and get what they want, and then now we're behind the 8 ball flipping switches in the cap.
It's a great point. I mean, do they win the negotiations? That is the new feature on the Odyssey app where you can leave us a message. That is Narst in Dallas. You can leave us a message and tell us your thoughts on, any subject really, but today, the main topic of conversation has been and is going to be all day on 105 through the Fan. The CeeDee Lamb contract where Jerry Jones and made a statement, and then CeeDee goes on social media, and now an entire firestorm happens. But to that point, do the Cowboys win these negotiations, or is that not
no?
happening?
They very. I'm trying to think of a couple ones that they have. They won Tyron Smith years ago. And I guess you could say they won Amari Cooper. But again, so much of that, it's like, do they win it, or do those players just go, hey, I want to be here, so I'll cut you a deal? I don't know if that's winning the negotiation. That's they're allowing you to sign them to whatever deal you wanted. But, man, they paid a lot to Zeke. They lost the Dak thing. They lost the DeMarcus Lawrence deal. Mm-hmm. They've lost plenty of them over time. I don't know why you wait as long as you have. But you seem to think that this is less about a contract issue or less about the tension and more about the story here is how what's the old Winston Churchill line?
I have no idea.
A lie will get halfway around the world before the truth has time to get its pants on.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there.
The idea that the mistruth gets halfway around the world, spreads halfway around the world before the truth can even get out the door and start trying to fix what was said.
Yeah, okay. So what you're saying is that I think this is all much ado about nothing.
Yeah, and that you think it's more about miscommunication than anything else.
Well, look, this is okay. So it's been presented as Jerry said very coldly. I have no sense of urgency to get this done.
Which, to be fair, it didn't say he coldly said. It's just the quote was shared.
Right. And the quote reads, this is just like reading a text from Shan. I read all texts from Shan in an angry...
Oh, I read the ones last night from angry. Or not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I read all texts from Shan in a very angry, at the world voice. All of them. Now, not all of them are like that, but that's just how they read, because that's how I've seen him. Every time he texts somebody in here, he doesn't text, first of all. He talks into the phone.
Where are we with John Smoltz?
Yeah.
What a stupid-ass take.
And so I just read them all like that. When you just throw words together, I think they read far differently than a lot of times than they're intended to read.
Sure.
So it's the quote read exactly, Bobby, I have no sense of urgency to get this done.
And the audio,
I believe, doesn't tell the full story, or it doesn't tell the story that way.
Are you saying there's a sense of urgency as you begin the preseason to get CeeDee done?
No.
Why you say that?
I went to high school or I went to college. I don't know why I said it, but I'm just saying I don't know. I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done.
Because it's a long-standing tradition.
Pick any reason you want. I was at Nobu 2 days ago.
So here's the thing about the preseason line, which I needed to hear that back because we had some people saying...
Yeah, he's saying, do you have an urgency to get it done in the preseason or before the preseason?
Which that is, I don't believe that's what the question was. See, we're getting into linguistics.
We really are. We're really breaking this down. But I think that, unfortunately, that's the position they put us in.
Yeah, Calvin Watkins is asking the question there. What I believe he's saying, and the only way you can interpret it is not, do you have a sense of urgency to get this done during the preseason? I don't think that's what he's saying, like some people seem to think he's saying. I think he's saying, as the preseason begins, as things stand right now and you're getting closer, do you feel a sense of urgency? Because he says, do you feel a sense of urgency as the preseason begins to get something done? Does this date, do you start feeling pressure on this day? Are you feeling the urgency to get something done? I think that's what he's trying to say there. I think we can sit here and boil it down any way we want and interpret it any way we want. But at the end of the day, they have not taken care of a contract that needed to be taken care of a year ago. And so they haven't shown a sense of urgency. That's the reality. Their actions tell us they have no sense of urgency.
Now, that's true. Now, I will say this. This is not a new development. This is how they view contracts. They let them play out. How often do they give extensions before it's time?
The ones a lot of times that people feel like they shouldn't. Zeke getting done 2 years in advance.
Yeah. I believe they only did that, and this was me talking to people at camp that are within the organization. Yeah, I wasn't always just hanging out with you guys. You fools were doing.
No, you were very rarely hanging out with us at practice. You were working the whole practice field.
You have to work the field.
I saw you.
Yeah, that's the time. You got to work the field.
Talking about your phone case. It was a lot of fun.
I know, it was great. They only did the Zeke deal because of Jason. They only did the Zeke deal because they did not think they could go into the season as a run-first team and give Jason a fair shake on his last year without Zeke.
I did ask, yes.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, no. I don't think that. I don't think that was the only reason. I think that may have expedited it. But I mean, here's what's wild. I don't know that a lot of people realize this. I think it's public. Jerry and Steven weren't even here when the deal got done with Zeke. They weren't the ones. They didn't do it. They were in New York at the New York Stock Exchange the morning the deal got done, and the deal was finished. Like, it was just basically Steven calling and saying, like, finish it up, get it done. Like, that was how things went.
Yeah,
and they got it done, which is, it's not unusual that you're negotiating a lot of times with somebody other than Steven or Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
You're negotiating a lot of times with their director of football administration, Todd Williams, or you're dealing with, Adam Pacifica, their salary cap guy. That's who you're in negotiations with a lot. It's almost never Jerry, and a lot of times it may not even be Steven. It could just be Todd Williams and Adam Pacifica doing it. But I don't know why they've dragged their feet on this one. Steven told us 2 years ago in an interview with Pat Doney. They said, hey, during your time here in Dallas, Pat had asked him, what's something that you regret or you feel like you could have done differently? And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, probably would have paid Dak sooner, would have gotten that done earlier. Because he's like, that clearly ended up costing us. Okay, well, 2 years later, you're not getting Dak done early. You're not getting CeeDee done early. You're repeating the same mistakes you made in 2019, where you let a lame duck head coach go into the season. You let your quarterback and your receiver be on the final year of their deals. You let your big first-round pick from a couple years ago, Zeke a few years ago, Micah Parsons in this case, you're letting them kind of just start putting pressure on you. Micah not showing up to minicamp.
They don't
Zeke
view
put
it
on pressure.
They don't view it as a mistake. They don't view it as a mistake.
Steven said it was.
They obviously don't.
I mean, actions do speak louder than words.
They can say whatever they want.
Which is why, exactly. However it was said yesterday, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they've shown it's not a priority for them, and they don't have urgency.
And I'm fine with that.
And I'm
fine with that because if you have urgency, to me, if they said they had urgency to get this done, that means that they're willing to take a bad deal. You know what I mean? Like, they're just. I'd rather them get it done and have it be a good contract than get it done at any cost and be in even more constraints than they're going to be.
Regardless of,
like, if they just want to get it done, they could pay him $37 million. They'll take it tomorrow.
If the 49ers wanted, because this is not the question of do you want him or not, or do you want to pay whatever. If the 49ers wanted to keep Brandon Ayuk and they were hell bent on, we want to keep him, but they got caught up in the negotiation issue of it, you could say there's no sense of urgency. He's still under contract. Okay, but they reached a point where you rubbed him the wrong way and he wanted out. Mm-hmm. And now it's ruined. It didn't matter that he was under contract because now you've ruined the relationship and you're not getting an extension done. I wonder at what point do you start fooling around with this? And CeeDee Lamb yesterday going LOL with a period, and then Micah retweeting it, and Dak coming off the podium and saying, hey, I have urgency to get it done. Like, I wonder if you're going to start playing with fire here a little bit and you're going to reach a Brandon Ayuk situation where you've pissed CeeDee off, and he's like, I'm done with this.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
That's where urgency needs to exist.
Now, if I was running PR for the Cowboys, I would say, well, if Dak has urgency to get it done, come down on your number.
No, I'm saying Dak.
You know what I mean?
Saying, yeah.
Like, if I was Dak, and if I was like, look at it from that perspective, same thing for CeeDee. If CeeDee has urgency, then maybe you don't need Justin Jefferson guaranteed money. Like, that's, if I was the Cowboys, that's what my counter would be to them. Not that I agree with it. I'm just saying that's what my counter would be.
You're also not walking away from CeeDee anytime soon.
You're not. You're not.
So
walking
what does
away
it matter
from Dak
guaranteeing
either.
it?
They're not walking away from Dak either.
But Dak is at least into his 30s, has shown some injury issues.
Yeah.
Like, you could at least, I could see yourself going, well, I don't want to necessarily guarantee that because we've got this or that. I did send on Twitter yesterday, describe your feelings on the CeeDee Jerry drama in exactly 5 words, Chop.
Yeah.
Here were some of the responses I got. Selena Sixtos on Twitter says, I don't like it here. Mario says, when will Jerry be quiet? Brandon, I hate the front office. Man, very common one. Just a reply with the John Malkovich gif. Pay Vietman his money.
Oh, it's great.
From Rounders, which we were talking about the other day.
Great movie.
Acid says, old man yells at sky. Man, this is one that we're hearing a lot this morning. Daniel Nations says, journalists remove context for views.
I mean,
and I don't think that's, by the way, the guy who sent this tweet out initially, John Machota, can promise you, knowing John as well as I do, that's not his purpose. That's not what he's doing.
I agree. He's not a
he's not a clickbait guy.
Clickbait guy. I do believe that was I don't want to call it a disingenuous tweet. I just thought it lacked a little bit of context.
We got a whole bunch of
like he could have. I wish he posted the video with it,
which he didn't. He didn't record.
Okay,
he's recording audio. So typically,
then record the audio. Then post the audio.
So here's the problem. He's tweeting that in the middle of Jerry still talking.
See, that's
the reality of how this is information people want. It's live reporting. That's the stuff that people are trying to find out. When that's said, John was not the only one who tweeted it. John's is the one that blew up, but there were 3 other people at the time posting the comments on there because that's significant. That's movement.
Yeah, that's the whole tug of war that fans have a problem with, being first versus being right. Fans don't care. Media members care. Fans don't care, and they don't even pay attention to what media member has the story.
Here's one of the things that I think you're seeing a lot from people in response to this, and John is to me one of the highest character individuals I know, and I don't ever believe he would do anything to sensationalize anything. I don't think there was anything wrong with sharing what was the quote. That was the quote, and it was essentially the quote twice because he was asked, "Do you have a sense of urgency?" No, and then he put the quote of, "I don't have a sense of urgency." That's what he said. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that John presented it. But a lot of the stuff that you see from people yesterday replying to this is all negotiation bluster. This is Zeke who. Do you think it is? You don't think things are potentially turning sour here at all? They
may be turning sour, but I still think it's a lot of negotiation. Like, if Jerry said, I have a major sense of urgency, does that not put them in a negotiating disadvantage? I think you can make the case it does.
817 Johnny Matches is definitely a clickbait guy now. Thanks for playing, guys. Wrong, 817. That's a wrong take. I'm telling you, as somebody who knows what John's work ethic is and the way John approaches his job, that's BS, and that's the last individual on earth I would ever describe as clickbait.
I don't consider him clickbaity. I do think this lacked a little bit of context. I
can't be responsible for how somebody takes it, though.
I agree. You can't. You can't be. I fully endorse what you just said. If I say something and you misinterpret it, that's not my problem. That's I can't control how people interpret things, and neither can John. I just thought this was. I interpreted this like, literally, and then when I heard the audio, which play the audio again, Peyton. So the quote was like, I have no urgency on this. That was how it was presented. And here's Jerry's quote.
Are you saying there's a sense of urgency as you begin the preseason to get CeeDee done?
No.
No. Why you say that?
I went to high school or I went to college. I don't know why I said it, but I'm just saying I don't know. I don't have a sense of urgency about getting it done.
Because it's a long-standing tradition.
Pick any reason you want. I was at Nobu 2 days ago.
Now, look, if CeeDee takes this in a very, very bad way, then, that is a problem. And it appears that he has, because he has removed America's team from his social media bios. And
as of yesterday, after this occurred.
Right. And anybody who knows players, they care about that. Like, I think it's stupid. Unfollowing teams, and it's like, whatever, man.
Settle down.
But players value that. They look at that as a power move that they can use.
I just worry you are souring things with Lamb at this point. That's my concern. And CeeDee Lamb is represented by an agent, one of the better agents in the NFL, Tory Dandy, who got A.J. Brown out of Tennessee when A.J. Brown became unhappy. And so there's a history of him saying, I know my guy's unhappy. We're going to move. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we're not doing a deal here. We're moving you out of here.
Hit us up on the Odyssey app, and leave a message for us. Is this clickbait, or is this a real problem for the Dallas football Cowboys?